Jace Lejeune from Gridiron Football here with LCA, I guess I'd say first full-time this year. They coached a little bit last year as the head coach, but Matt Stanford, he actually helped us a lot from the bowl game when we first getting started in Pineville. And Coach Stanford, congratulations again on the full-time job. I know how big of a deal it is to coach at such a really a powerhouse at LCA.
Yeah, so thank you for that. Thank you for having us. It's a blessing to be able to be in this position. Be able to coach this group of guys behind me and, really have the opportunity to coach it. Like you said, a powerhouse, we tend to not view ourselves as that, even though we have been really successful over the last couple of years.
Absolutely. I know Trev Falk really built that program too. I mean, the 4 straight state championships and all of that, and all the great players that are going through the program. But yeah, going to 2025, I know expectations are always high, but what do you think about this 2025 version of
I think this group has a chance to be really special, There's a lot of senior leadership. These 4 guys that we brought today, plus a couple others. We only have 12 in our senior class, but it's 12 special ones, 12 ones that are going to be able to be really successful far beyond just the high school level. And so we're really, really excited for them and what they're going to be able to put on display.
And last year was such a great. I mean, it was kind of a weird season, right? You had your ups and downs. Y'all ended the season well, and then obviously y'all took Dunham to the wire, and Dunham went all the way to the championship. So talk about last season.
So we one thing we pride ourselves on at LCA is we're not going to run from anybody. Just put the ball down and play anybody anywhere. And I think people saw that through our first 5 games. We besides one of the teams in the playoffs, we played Central tougher than anybody else did the entire season. Had those dudes on the ropes. We played a tough Shaw team. It was 3-0 at halftime. Won a state championship. A couple other teams, Karen Crow always good, Rummel always good. Westgate had a really good year, and so we saw ourselves at 1-4. And then we went into the back half of the year, really turned it on a little bit, slipped up a little bit against Notre Dame, but ended up getting some revenge in the playoffs. And then, like you said, went to the quarterfinals against a really good Dunham team. Coach Neal, me and him actually talked the other day. He does a tremendous job. And we had them dudes on the road, up by 17 going into the 4th, and then just didn't have enough in the tank. But I think the way we finished that game is really going to propel us into 2025.
Absolutely, Coach. And you brought a couple of guys. Obviously, the talent's always great. Everybody knows about, the Sage Ryans have been through the program, the Jawan Johnsons have been through the program. So you brought a couple of guys with you today. Tell me about the 4 that you brought today.
So the first one we brought is Braylon Walker, our quarterback number 7. He's a kid, so 7's our offensive captain number. He's had a chance to wear that for 2 years. Actually signed to play DB at UL, so we're excited about that. Freakish athlete, but even a better leader than he is a football player. And then staying on the same side of the ball, number 2, Braden Allen, actually making his commitment tonight.
Oh, that's awesome.
Down to his final 4. So we're excited about that one and where that's going to end up being. So he's a freak on the outside. We call him Megatron, and there's a reason for that. And then we go to the offensive line. Torrey Landry, been a 2-year starter, really turned into a animal for us up front. Somebody that's really good in the pass game, become a mauler in the run game, and then flip it to the defensive side of the ball. Luke Green, number 3, also a 2-year captain for us. It's time to play defensive back at UL. Really the quarterback of our defense, gets everybody lined up and ready to go. So we're really excited about these 4.
Absolutely, Coach. Let's talk about the offensive side of the football as a whole. I mean, you obviously got a talented quarterback under center too. Talk about that side of the football and what you really like about that side.
So we try to play fast. We try to snap the ball really, really quick, get a lot of snaps in per game. I think the difference between this year and last year is more experience. Both our receivers on the outside, our quarterback, 3 of our linemen all have starting experience. Our running back, actually, we started 1 game last year against Shaw, rushed for 100 yards, so he'll be back. And we got some other pieces. We'll throw in a tight end a little bit here and there, so it kind of changes things up a little bit. But really excited to see what we're going to be able to do offensively.
Okay, and the defensive side of the football, I know that's been a big reason why you have won state championships in the past. What do you think about that side of the ball?
Absolutely. My first year at LCA, we won a state championship 12-7. And the only touchdown that St. Charles scored was a pick 6. So our defense was pretty phenomenal. And then just throughout the year, we've been able to put a lot of guys playing at the next level. And this group is really special, and it's thanks to our defense coordinator, Mitch Kraft, does a phenomenal job. I will put him up against anybody in the state. And so you have him, plus we were returning 16 guys with starter-type snaps, so that's going to be huge for us. We lost a couple. We lost a big sack guy on the end, lost our one of our best DBs, but I think we got a lot of talent coming back to really propel us this year.
Yeah, I know you mentioned that those are really the headline guys you brought today, but who are some guys that maybe a little bit under the radar but had great off seasons and guys we should keep an eye out for this year?
So Jamison Marzell, inside linebacker, he had think roughly like 95 tackles last year, first-year starter. He's going to be a big piece for us. You look at the outside across from Braden, because for as good as a one receiver we have, we say we have a 1A and a 1B, and so Draylon August is another guy that's, he's 6'2", 180, can really run, good route runner, and is really going to be a good counter for us this year offensively.
And then talk about the schedule. Obviously, it's no cakewalk. You just mentioned the schedule last year, all the state championship teams y'all played. So I know it's an exciting schedule. What you talk about the non-district and district opponents y'all be playing.
Yeah, so we're excited. Anytime you open up with Rummel, 5A powerhouse, anybody in the Catholic League is great. And we get them at our place. It's a little bit more ideal for us as opposed to last year with the weather, and we didn't know. We ended up playing the Superdome. And then week 2, Karen Crow, Coach Peters, a friend of mine, we've been able to build a relationship over the last year and a half, and he does a great job at Karen Crow, so we're looking forward to actually keeping that going for the next cycle, which is awesome. Then week 3, Westgate, freakish athletes. Coach Antoine does a good job making sure his guys are prepared. And then Shaw, week 4, get to go to New Orleans, so our first real road trip of the year. Get to see what our kids are made of against the state championship caliber team and Hank Tierney, who's one of the all-time greats in the state. And then week 5, we actually go back to Central, part of the scheduling decision, which we were actually talking about on the way here. We love the opportunity to play at a venue like that with hostile. The student section does a great job in the end zone. And obviously, people saw what they did last year, but we like to measure ourselves up against those 5. And then headed into district, Lafayette Renaissance under Coach Landry and Coach Falk are going to be, they should be a lot better than they were last year. Should be a really good game, and then in Notre Dame with the legendary Coach Cook, he's there's a reason why they've been so successful for so long. And then after that, we play Welsh on the road. Another tough-nosed team. I think they were ranked top 5 in their division last year. Then we get Evangel for homecoming, and people are going to really see what Peyton Houston's all about. Down south, we went up there last year, and it was a battle. And that's the one thing I love about it for us as an offensive guy. I will put our quarterback up against anybody, and we really get to see where we measure up with another offensive juggernaut. And then week 10, we finish up with senior night against Lake Arthur. So. No real cupcakes on the schedule. Love the competition, love the opportunities.
Yeah, I think you picked the over on that week 9 game for sure. But I mean, it's basically you're going to know what team you're going to have with the schedule you all had for sure. Coach, and to talk about really the last question is obviously, it's coming to a point where the brand really speaks for itself. Just the success that y'all had. Now, just LCA fans, just a shout out to them and why they should be excited about the season.
So. There's a lot to be excited about. I know last year it wasn't up to our standards, and we're going to be upfront and honest about that. And even if we'd have made it to the state championship, like we were capable of, we'd have ran into a good Bunkie team in the semifinals. But at the end of the day, it's about the process and the progress. And I think we saw what we did after week 7 last year. And that's what I'm tipping my hat on, especially tipping my hat to the kids and the work that they've put in. And I know that they're going to be hungry and excited for what this season has in store.
Absolutely, Coach. Coach, we're looking forward to helping us again with the bowl game this year. And here's your free copy of the magazine. The next issue, I know you're going to really want because you're going to have an in-depth season preview on LCA. So a season preview. So if you're LCA fans, want to get your football fix right before football season, it's going to be an exciting 2025 season for the Knights. Make sure to read about them. You can order your magazine at our website, gridironfootballusa.com.